So our next presentation will be by Freya Samuel from Cromarty Courthouse Museum. And originally, Samantha Johnson, our trustee, was going to introduce this, but she's just having a bit of a connection issue. But luckily, she did send me her note. So I'm going to read this out on behalf of Samantha, our trustee. So what was striking about this application was the use of remote volunteers to play a significant role in the collections data processing project. Museum and collections have historically lent towards being gatekeepers of collections data and information, and projects like this demonstrate how we are moving towards a new era, which is exciting. It was inspiring to read the application, and we look forward to hearing details about the practicalities of setting up a team of remote volunteers so that we can all learn from their experience. So I'm now going to hand over to Freya Samuel, who is going to take us through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So just to introduce a little bit about Cromarty Courthouse Museum, we're located on the Black Isle in the Scottish Highlands, and our museum is housed in an 18th century courthouse building. Our collection spans archaeology, social history, including Fishertown life, Gallic history, as well as architectural history, numismatics, legal history, World War I and World War II. So our project, as you can see on the screen, was called Democratising Data, Creating Opportunities for Remote Digitisation Volunteers. And apologies for the very lengthy title on that one, but it does quite neatly summarise exactly what we were doing. So the project set out to digitise all of the museum's object records with the aim of creating a publicly accessible online CMS on our platform eHive. A key aim of this project was also to create remote volunteering opportunities, which would in turn democratise the digitisation process by inviting external stakeholders to contribute to data categorisation and processing. To give a little bit of background to the data situation at Cromarty Courthouse, our collections data was spread between several different sources, and we were able to share access to all of these sources with our remote volunteers. The starting point of the project was a very well documented accession register dating back to 1900, and approximately 400 records that had already been uploaded onto eHive but had been categorised quite inconsistently. Other data sources included the Digital Museum of the Highlands and digitised objects on the Tor app Smartify. We also knew that the collection had around 4,000 objects, but we had no centralised database to store all of this information. So why did we decide to recruit remote volunteers to help us with this project? There were two main reasons. So number one, it would create accessible work experience for people wanting to contribute to collections management processes. And number two, it would provide a crucial external perspective to the data categorisation process. By allowing multiple perspectives into this process, it creates also more searchable records for a CMS. If only one person is responsible for cataloguing and categorising data, the search will only be reflective of one person's thought process. So by asking multiple external stakeholders to take part and get involved, the data becomes much more representative of the thinking of a broad range of people. And this is the essence of democratising data. So the concept of remote volunteering is supported by crowdsourced data creation, and this interpretation fosters transparency and accountability in the curation of museum data. With volunteers helping to enrich and update digital collections, the process becomes more open, ensuring that digital archives are continuously improved by a wide network of contributors. And this collaborative model also encourages trust and public engagement in cultural preservation. So in terms of the process, we recruited volunteers online, and we received 67 applications, which for a very small museum with a current staff of 1.5, we were really, really thrilled about all those people who were keen to get involved. But due to the actual quantity of data we had, we ended up working with 12 of these remote volunteers. As an induction to the task, I created a volunteer handbook that they could read and refer back to, and you can sort of broadly see this on the screen. And this contained important information for their work, like the data categories and troubleshooting information. Each volunteer was assigned a data set in the form of a spreadsheet of around 50 objects. They were tasked with filling out 12 data fields for each of these objects, Some of the fields included things like brief and public descriptions, which encouraged volunteers to dig into information offered by the object title and undertake further research, as well as tagging fields, which are used to group and identify objects like collection type and classification, as well as more general information like location, item count, and acquisition notes. Next slide, please. Volunteers were given, this is a really lovely visual slide there for you. Volunteers were given 12 weeks to complete their data sets. And once completed, all of this data was collated into a primary spreadsheet, which kind of acted as an interim CMS for us, which totaled 1,124 records with a total of 4,235 objects detailed. And you can sort of see that very base spreadsheet there on the screen. Next slide. So in terms of outcomes for this project, the volunteers successfully completed all of the assigned data sets, making important and nuanced decisions about data categorization and descriptions. The project also acted as an opportunity for remote volunteers to build skills and confidence with collections management, which will positively impact personal and professional development. We wanted to create genuine opportunities for participatory access to our collection. And as such, remote volunteering played a pivotal role by increasing accessibility, inclusivity, and participation. This project encouraged volunteers from all over the country to contribute to preserving and sharing cultural heritage, regardless of their geographic, financial, or physical barriers. By opening digitisation to remote volunteers, we sought to break down some of the power that's held by museums that also act as barriers to access. So ultimately, the project was very successful and attracted a huge amount of interest, and we were delighted to have built connections with so many skilled and enthusiastic remote volunteers. Our collections have now been fully digitised. The success of that particular project, which took place at the end of last year, led to another in-house volunteer project to photograph the collections, which took place across January and February, just gone. And this provided another valuable experience for 2 in-person volunteers to learn about object photography, object handling, and digital asset management. The in-house volunteers of that project were able to photograph, edit, and create images for 109 objects records as a result of the work undertaken by our remote volunteers. So it wouldn't have been possible to get to that stage without them. And just onto the last slide. So all of our data, all of those thousands of lines of data and the subsequent images that were taken of our collection have now been uploaded to our account on eHive, meaning that we have a publicly accessible collections management system featuring every accessioned object in the Cromarty Courthouse Museum collection. And if you use eHive or just want to have a little browse online, I encourage you to take a look at our collections, because it's something that we're really proud to now have and be able to share with the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Freya.